I'd love now to kind of dive in a little bit deeper and share with our listeners all the incredible sustainable work that you're doing with the company. And starting with the fact that, both you and I were just saying off air before, we're both based in the Montreal area. And for our listeners who are less familiar, Montreal actually used to be known as a hub in terms of fashion design and manufacturing just even a few decades ago. But so much of that has changed with offshoring since maybe like the 80s or so. What was the process like, or what is the process like of being based here, having so much of that offshoring, but then trying to find an ecosystem of suppliers? Was it an easy project? Is it something that's constantly evolving of trying to find local manufacturers? Because you do not only design, but 100% of your products are also manufactured here as well.
Yes, absolutely. I would say that when I first started 7 years ago, it was much easier because there was more supplier, more manufacturer here. Now, like some of them has closed. But I've, like I'm also on Chabanel. Like on Chabanel in Saint Laurent, which is where the fashion district was back in the day. And so all
Mhm.
the buyers and all like the shops that sells like button, elastic, like any types of trims that you would need to make a productions, they are centered here in this area. So there is less people than before, but I mean there are still companies around here, so that make it very easy for me being here in the district, working with them directly. But also like our manufacturer, they are not here around us. They are, let's say, in Longueuil, or even like Quebec City or close to Quebec City, such as Beauce. So there is like very high-end, very nice manufacturer here in Quebec. You just need to find them, you write them, and you try samples with them. And that's what I did in the beginning. I call all of them. Um,
Mhm.
I tried sample with all of them, and then you negotiate the prices, and you see their quality, and then you choose with who you want to work with. And yes, so two of them that I work with since the beginning, and they are still my main producer, which is I'm very grateful to have. I mean, we are very grateful to have each other because Oraki, as you know, is very popular and well known, and people really like our product. So it's kind of a perfect match, basically.
I
Yeah.
know one of the main reasons that I initially fell in love with the product is not only that it was made locally, but it was around the materials that you were using in the product. And I think at the time they were primarily focused on recycled material. And I know you've even extended that since then using creative pieces like dented corn or wood pulp. Have you found that it's gotten easier with time as there's more demand for sustainable type materials and maybe there's more suppliers? Or what does that evolution look like over the past few years? Because I'm sure it has changed, especially as your volumes have changed as well.
Yes. When I was actually working for a fashion company, before I started Oraki, there was a company that came to the office and showed the new fabrics. And by that time, I had never ever knew, like I never heard about recycled material. And that one person showed me some recycled material fabrics made from a plastic bottle back then. And I was really impressed and drawn to it. And I started to make some research. This guy was from the US at that time. So I kind of, I don't know, that was kind of a light for me saying, oh my God, like in my own industry, I can make a difference and do something that is not mass market, and I can actually use recycled or bio-based material. And I was very excited about it. And I tried to implant this idea into the company I was working for. But, the cost of it also is more expensive. So it's
Mm.
not that easy. So back then it was kind of hard to find supplier and manufacturer that could work those yarns. Um, but I mean, everything in my life kind of been hard since I was young. So I'm used to work hard to get something and really find like the perfect supplier that can make a high-end fabrics. But for sure now there is actually shows you can go, like let's say New York, California. You can actually also go to Paris just to have like new supplier that make eco-responsible fabrics. So the time has changed, that's for sure. But
Wow.
yeah, so in the beginning, I was just by myself, like calling them and see what they could do, pay for the shipping to receive the fabrics and try the fabric out. And it was it was an amazing journey.
Those must be amazing trade shows. I can only imagine the conversations that you have there, but that's inspiring that it's now become at that level that everybody gets pulled together.
Yeah. There's fabric made from coffee, from mushroom. There is like very amazing technology into fabrics for the fashion industry. Of course, I cannot implant them in Oraki as much as I wish because sometimes there is fabric that looks more like a leather fabric or, um, I mean, accessories would be better. But I'm always looking into like what's the trend, what's coming, with the innovation into my own industry.
And then beyond materials, I know many of us in the sustainability space are also trying to rethink packaging. And that's another piece that I love when we receive as customers of Oraki, we receive, let's say, our leggings. Instead of having a plastic tag on there, it's wrapped with hair elastic, and then you use pins, and you even have recycled cardboard as your tag to use as a bookmark. All of these things. I just think it's so creative. And for our listeners who are maybe entrepreneurs or business leaders who are trying to rethink packaging, do you have any tips or recommendations as to how they can maybe get started on how they can think outside of the box in terms of tackling packaging waste?
Sure. I mean, depending on your business, for me, when I first started, I didn't want packaging. Like I wanted no packaging at all. So there is things that you don't have a choice to have, such as a hang tag or like a poly mailer that you're gonna send the package to the customer. But otherwise, I mean, there is so much packaging all the time, like in like let's say in high-end fashion company that you have like a satin paper, and then you have a sticker, and then you have a box, and the box is another box, and you know. So there is so many packaging that is going into, I'm going to say recycling bin, but most of the time it's really a garbage. So for me, it's just part of the process, not using any packaging, or if I'm using packaging, I need to be very careful of what I'm doing and try to reuse this. Each piece needs to be reused. So that was like in the very first beginning, I really thought out how can I reuse all the packaging that I'm going to be using for my brand. I just thought about like the elastic, for example. I don't know why this idea came to my mind. Like, I need something to attach the ink tag to the clothing. Oh, I thought about an elastic, so I make it clear that you can reuse it for your hair. That's just an example, but otherwise, all of our polymer are made from recycled material, also that is recyclable. Um, and there is no like, when you receive the goods, they are not packed in another plastic bag because
Right.
on each t-shirt are in the plastic bag, and then you receive your package with like a lot of pieces of garment that they all wrap itself in the plastic bag.
Mhm.
Very important for me not to use it, and as an example, but I try to be very careful about that.
And I know another area where you try to reduce your waste is that and not of producing too many pieces. And your approach has been very transparent as well, that you'll do shorter runs so as to avoid that surplus. Was that something that was already kind of at the heart of your business model when you decided to set out, or was it more kind of a necessary thing to scale? What did that look like?
When I first started, it was more like a financial thing because like I didn't
Yeah.
have to make a big productions, but at the end, the message is the same. It's very important not to have so much inventory. It's not to overproduce and try to see what's the demand, and that's one of the things that is very hard in the company right now when we do our orders and we try to have the exact perfect amount of stock. I'm sure this is a struggle for many entrepreneurs out there, but for us, it's important also not to keep inventory. That's why we don't have like a Black Friday or big sales, all that. We're gonna have a sale now at the end of January, but otherwise it's like once or twice a year we have a sale because we don't really need it. That very also interesting for the client because the client received the style and they have this, it's not like 5,000 people wearing the same t-shirt or hoodie or crew neck. And as a business perspective, it's always nice also to make sure that you have your cash back. When I do like a launch, for example, I do a launch in 5 minutes, one style is sold out. So for me, it's
Mhm.
always nice to have a quick run of the styles and just, not get stuck with like many things. It makes it very special. And this is our business model. I don't know if it's gonna change. Hopefully not, because it's going very well for us this way. But I like this business model.